Well, on a relative basis, yes, I've had it all. Okay, on a relative basis, I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful husband, two great kids, a very tight-knit family, and an awesome job with a great team. But to get here and to stay here, I mean, lots of trade-offs, lots of sacrifices, under the water, a lot of collateral damage. But I think somehow I've had the strength to power through all of that. Can you have it all? That's the big question in this definition. I think if you have the right support system, if you have an understanding spouse, if you want to be married, and if you're willing to make all the trade-offs that you need to make, you can have it all. But while you do all that, there will be heartache, there will be pain, there will be some collateral damage underneath the surface. You've got to live with it.
When you became the president of Pepsi, you came home one day and your mother was there and she asked you to get some milk. And well, maybe you could tell the story better than I could.
Well, it was way back in 2000, and I was just informed about 9:30 in the night from a phone call that I was going to be president of the company. And so I went home because I was working on the Quaker Oats deal to tell my family that I was going to be president of PepsiCo. And I walked in the house and Mom opens the door. She was living with me at that time. And I said, Mom, I got news for you. And she said, well, before your news, go get some milk. I said, it's 10 o'clock in the night. Why should I get milk? And I noticed that my husband's car was in the garage. I said, why didn't you tell him to get the milk? She said, well, he came at 8. He was very tired. So I let him be. Now you go get the milk. And you never question your mom. So I went and got the milk, came back, sort of banged it on the countertop, and I said, I had big news for you. I had just been appointed president of PepsiCo, and all that you care about is the milk. And she just looked at me and she said, what are you talking about? She said, when you walk in that door, just leave that crown in the garage, because you are the wife, the daughter-in-law, and the mother of the kids, and that's all I want to talk about. Anything else, just leave it in the garage. So don't even try this with me anymore. So I think with Mom, you don't try anything.
But she must be very proud that you're the CEO of Pepsi.
I think she is, but she keeps me very grounded, David.
What is more difficult, being a woman to being a CEO, or being an immigrant being a CEO, or being a combination? What do you think has caused you more difficulty, and what did you have to overcome more?
I don't know if it's difficulty. I think being a woman, an immigrant, has had its positives and its negatives. It's had its positives because people take notice of you because you're so different. You walk in the room, people go, oh, she's a different sort of a person, female, immigrant, tall, all of these work together. It's been difficult because they go, how will she know how to run this great American company? So I think it's been both a positive and negative, but I'd say on balance, more of a positive than a negative.
Okay. Do you think a woman today has it easier than when you became CEO, or do you still feel that you still have to work harder to be a woman CEO than, let's say, a man who is a CEO of an equivalent-sized company?
I think easier today only because there are few more of us in positions of power. But I think from a personal perspective, it's got nothing to do with women or being in this position. I have the immigrant fear. So I'm always afraid that if I fail, I may have to go back to something that I don't want to go back to. And so that fear always motivates me, and I drive myself to be better and better and better at my job every day.
So you're a role model, obviously, for many women. Do you see yourself as a role model, and particularly from women from India or from outside the United States?
I don't have a choice but to be a role model, and I feel a privilege to be the role model, whether it's for women, for minorities, for Indian women for sure. Everybody looks up to me and wants to learn from me and get my advice. I can't give them all enough time. That's the thing that makes me feel very bad, because I get letters every day asking for advice or whether I'd be a mentor to people. I can't do it all. So I try to do my best by speaking in public forums and trying to disseminate information on a large scale. But I think because there are so few of us, we have to play the role of being the role model, and we have to make sure we do a good job, because we have to set the standard for others who might follow in our footsteps.
So one time I think I read when your husband was saying, well, Indra, you're spending all your time on Pepsi, 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 and what about me? And what was your response?
Well, he always tells me, even today, he'll tell me that your list is PepsiCo, 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 then the kids, then your mom, and somewhere in the bottom I sit there. And I keep telling him, you're on the list, just be happy you're on the list. But he knows that I love him dearly. He knows that he is my rock, that he's my life. But he likes to be higher up on the list.